Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
In the history of our state, there have been events that at the time flew under the radar because, well, they may have felt abstract, but in retrospect turned out to be historic moments that signaled a future of innovation and progress that shifted the course of history. This may very well be one of those moments. It was 32 years ago, just down the road at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, that a group of students and researchers at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications developed and launched the first inline graphic web browser. It was called Mosaic, and it ended up popularizing widespread use of the internet, making it understandable and accessible to everyday people. But on the day it was released, no one outside the NCSA really recognized what Mosaic would mean for the world. That seemingly small step forward, born out of a partnership between the federal government and Illinois, and driven by an ingenuity we draw uniquely here in Illinois, is one of the key elements that brought about the internet age, a massive global revolution that has made our world more connected, more informed, and more prosperous. And leading that charge was the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, which gave birth to the fundamental elements that created the internet. It is in that same spirit that I stand here today alongside some of the brilliant minds at DARPA to celebrate another groundbreaking collaboration called the DARPA Illinois Quantum Proving Ground. Now, I'm known to be a geek for all things quantum, but I am first and foremost the governor of Illinois and a geek for everything that is good for our state. So I want to take a minute to talk about the transformative impact this partnership can have for our people and our economy. The General Assembly and I are dedicated to a vision for Illinois as the undisputed capital of quantum computing. Central to that vision is a quantum computing site where researchers and entrepreneurs from the public and private sectors come together to collaborate, to share information and equipment, and commercialize quantum advancements and applications. Illinois has been one of the only states to invest in and actualize a plan for the quantum future. Fortune 500 companies and the best research institutions in the country are exploring plans for being a part of our efforts. And among the first to join us in this ever-expanding universe of opportunity is DARPA. I'm very proud today to be here with those federal partners to announce that DARPA will partner with us to establish the Quantum Proving Ground program right here in Illinois, where quantum computing prototypes will be tested and evaluated as part of DARPA's quantum benchmarking initiative. With an initial state and federal commitment of up to $140 million each, our quantum vision takes an enormous step forward, armed with the financial resources, the research infrastructure, and the global credibility of such a renowned federal agency. The top quantum researchers and companies in the world will now compete to come to Illinois for their place in our ecosystem. Paired with our previous $200 million investment in University of Chicago, University of Illinois, and the Chicago Quantum Exchange, we are positioning ourselves here as a national hub of quantum technology development and, in turn, the prosperity that can come from the economic benefits of it. $60 billion in projected economic benefit and impact, and thousands of new jobs, potentially. This is what our vision could mean for the people of Illinois. With a project of this magnitude, we also have the opportunity and the responsibility to focus on the potential global impact of this work. Quantum computing has the potential to unlock scientific and technological advances previously thought impossible. Unhackable cybersecurity, biopharmaceutical cures for diseases that previously took decades could occur in just months. Near perfect nanomaterial design, reducing microelectronic size to something that can't be seen by the human eye, and so much more. This won't happen overnight. As the leaders and scientists at DARPA know well, progress rarely comes in the form of a eureka moment, but rather with rigorous, sustained, and comprehensive research and development efforts. The beauty of the scientific process and the vision for our quantum computing ecosystem is that with each individual breakthrough, we grow a step closer to a seismic advancement, sometimes one that no one saw coming. Today, we are committing ourselves to that process, and in doing so, advancing the potential for broad-based economic prosperity, giving greater opportunity for our people, and solidifying Illinois and the entire United States as a global leader in the efforts around quantum computing. I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. I want to thank you for believing in our vision, and thank you for helping Illinois take this quantum leap forward. And with that, there are many more puns like that you'll hear from me over the years probably. With that, I'll hand it over to the program manager for DARPA, the Microsystems Technology Office at DARPA, and that's Joe Altepeter. Joe?
Thank you, Governor Pritzker. 20 years ago, when I was a graduate student at the University of Illinois, I was convinced quantum computers were going to change the world. 5 years later, as a professor at Northwestern University, I realized that was going to be really hard, maybe impossible. And for most of the last 15 years, I have been DARPA's designated quantum computing skeptic. I am the one that they brought in to prove that the algorithm you are hoping is going to change the world isn't actually useful for anything, or the quantum computer you're trying to design can't ever be built. But in the last few years, something has changed. What began as really tiny DARPA investments grew into a small DARPA program, which grew into a larger DARPA program. Until today, the prospect of building these machines doesn't seem quite so impossible. And if there is a real path from the scientifically interesting quantum computers of today to critical industrial tools, the United States has to know. The stakes are too high for us not to. And so it is my great pleasure to announce a new DARPA initiative, the Quantum Benchmarking Initiative, a new very large DARPA program designed to verify and validate if there is any commercial company who is able to build one of these critical industrial tools in the near term. This is going to be extremely hard, and DARPA is not going to be able to do it alone, which is why we are very excited to have other partners in the federal government, the larger Department of Defense and the Department of Energy joining with us in this mission. And representing those organizations here today are Dr. John Burke, the Principal Director for Quantum Science at the Pentagon, and Dr. Linda Horton, who is the Associate Director for the Office of Science at the Department of Energy. If this is going to work, we are going to have to build a unique and world-class test and evaluation team. But not only that, we are going to need the kind of quantum test facilities that have never been built before. So the reason we're announcing this here in Chicago is because Illinois has had the foresight to fund exactly that type of facility. And so we are extraordinarily excited for the new DARPA Illinois Quantum Proving Ground to be a part of the larger DARPA Quantum Benchmarking Initiative. So before I step away from the microphone, I want to make sure that I'm able to thank both Senator Durbin and Congressman Foster for their sustained support of DARPA over the years. Thank you. And finally, I want to thank Governor Pritzker for your leadership and for the opportunity to be here today. I and DARPA are extremely excited to see what DARPA and Illinois are going to be able to accomplish together at the Quantum Proving Ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. My name is Kristen Richards, and I am the Director of the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO. I am honored to be here with DARPA to announce this partnership in the formation of the DARPA Illinois Quantum Proving Ground. I'd like to thank Governor Pritzker, President Harmon, Speaker Welch, and members of the Illinois General Assembly for continuing to give DCEO the tools we need to make partnerships like this one possible, that attract billions of dollars in investment and create new job opportunities for current and future generations of Illinoisans. DCEO's mission is to create equitable economic opportunities across the state of Illinois. My colleagues and I at DCEO, alongside our business attraction partners at Intersect Illinois and P33, are focused on ensuring that globally, Illinois' reputation is the center for quantum computing, research and development, testing and prototyping is known, and that companies understand there is no other place better positioned to support their efforts to find industrial and scientific use cases for quantum computing technology. DCO is also strengthening partnerships with workforce and education partners to create the training needed to support thousands of jobs on the quantum campus, including highly skilled technical positions. We're proud to stand alongside DARPA and create this competitive environment where innovation can lead to opportunity. Thank you, and with that, it is now my honor to turn it over to Senator Durbin.
It's an honor to be here today on behalf of myself and Senator Duckworth. On the Senate side, a total commitment to the effort that we're celebrating. The House side is going to be represented by Bill Foster as well as Krishna Marthi, Congressman, who will arrive in a few moments. So many colleagues from across Illinois, industry partners, and federal officials all coming together to showcase the strength of Illinois and a global hub for technology and innovation. I want to give a special shout out to the governor and to the members of the Illinois General Assembly. Your investment put us on the map when it came to this subject. I recently met with the director of DARPA in my office, Director Tompkins, and she said our visit to Illinois blew us away. This state gets it, understands where we're going and what we need. And I want to congratulate the governor and General Assembly for that leadership. I know it's not easy. Illinois has a storied history of leading on innovations that have changed America and the world. In the 1970s, it was a little-known company that started with the bold idea of putting radios in cars that called Motorola, of course, that debuted the first cell phone, changing the world forever. That wasn't the only thing. We also had at the University of Chicago an extraordinary effort to harness nuclear energy, which changed the world, still changes our state on a daily basis. You can go on, and I'm sure our researchers who wrote these speeches have a long list that I could add to, including the discovery and the announcement of the newly found technology in 1893 at Chicago World Fair of the zipper, something we count on every day. The spirit of invention and innovation and influence has been with our state from the beginning. What's next? Today's event illustrates that our state remains committed to leading in quantum technology, a field with the potential to transform, as the governor said, cybersecurity, communications, financial services, medical research, and countless other applications. Through the combined efforts of Illinois' wonderful, highly regarded national labs, world-class universities, and industry leaders, now our growing partnership with DARPA through this Quantum Proving Ground initiative, our state will continue to champion technologies and industries of the future. I'm grateful again to the Governor and General Assembly for the investments they've made to make this day possible. I look forward to doing our part. We have to come up with the matching funds in Washington, and the only reason there's no announcement today is because the budget is still being debated. I'm a member of that Appropriations Committee, and we have weeks of effort ahead of us, but it will get done. That's why I'm working as well to reauthorize the National Quantum Initiative Act, a bill that empowers agencies across the federal government to advance understanding and deployment of quantum technologies. I'll continue to support robust funding for DoD's investments in quantum as a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Illinois is committed at every level to leading in quantum tech. I look forward to supporting our state every step of the way. And now it's my honor to introduce a friend, a fellow member of the delegation, a great congressman, the chairman and the only member of the physicist, PhD physicist in the United States House of Representatives, Bill Foster.
Thank you, Senator. And yeah, it's true. I do sometimes introduce myself as saying I represent 100% of the strategic reserve of PhD physicists in the U.S. Congress. I'm also proud to represent both of Illinois' world-leading national laboratories, Argonne National Laboratory and Fermi National Lab, where I worked for 23 years before getting into this crazy business here. I'd also like to thank everyone involved in making this a reality, starting with Albert Einstein, Richard Feynman, John Stuart Bell, and the long list of physicists that have gradually convinced the world that there's a theoretical possibility of a really effective quantum computer. And when 80 years ago we had the theoretical possibility of a nuclear chain reaction, it was to the University of Chicago that we went to prove whether or not this idea actually worked. And I think it's very significant that when we're trying to figure out how significant quantum computers might be, that it's to Illinois and Chicago that we're returning. And I think this is really the city with broad shoulders is also the city that can figure out what's nonsense and what's technically feasible. And so it's one of the reasons I'm really excited about this. And I also want to thank DARPA. You know, their mission is to prevent technological surprise, or if there's going to be technological surprise, we have to own it and not be blindsided by it. And so when you see, and when people ask me, well, you know, how significant quantum computing might be, I say, you know, that little padlock on your web browser that indicates you have end-to-end encryption? Well, guess what? If someone else makes quantum computing work first, that padlock breaks, all right? And everything that you think is secure on your website transactions are visible to the enemy. And because of that, under the Obama administration, NIST initiated a quantum-resistant cryptography effort that will be the first line of defense against that. But we have to understand what the capabilities are. And so DARPA is exactly right in prioritizing quantum as an emergent technology that will be powerful if it's on our side and a real risk if it's not. And so I want to thank them for being true to their mission and keeping your eyes on what's coming around the curve at us. So thank you all, and it's now my pleasure to introduce Senate President Harman.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Senator Durbin, and all of our federal partners. I brag at every opportunity about Illinois' world-class research universities and laboratories, and it's great to have you here in partnership as well. The great Thomas Edison once said, "Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work." I want to commend Governor Pritzker and his team because they recognize the opportunity presented by quantum technology. And more importantly, they've enlisted the General Assembly to be partners in doing the work to position Illinois at the forefront of this transformative technology. That's why we're excited to be here today. Illinois has long been an industrial leader, a state where brains and brawn combine to propel development, solve problems, and create a better tomorrow across the country and across the globe. We reversed a river, split atoms, and built the first television remote control. I often joke that in saying quantum technology, I have reached the outer boundaries of my understanding of quantum technology. But I do understand clearly why Illinois wants to be the home of quantum technology. Just as technological innovation has changed our lives in ways we could never have imagined, quantum holds the promise of doing the same again on an unimaginable scale. And that future will happen here. I want to thank the governor, my good friend Speaker Welch, for their commitment and partnership as we share in building a better Illinois for today and tomorrow. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Speaker Chris Welch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What a beautiful day to celebrate this quantum proving ground partnership. You know, Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." And I got to tell you, because of the great vision of the best governor this state has ever had in the legislature, Illinois continues to solidify its position as the leader of quantum development and technologies. I got to tell you, I looked it up before I came here this morning. It was last year at this time that I had the pleasure of joining Governor Pritzker in London for a trade mission from July 16th through the 20th, where we worked hard to keep Illinois at the forefront of discussions in this growing field. And it was this day, I believe, we were sitting at a quantum roundtable at the University of Chicago in London, Mr. President. I was sitting there most of the time saying, "What is quantum?" But I'm watching our governor, And I'm sitting there in amazement because I'm like, what a difference it makes to have a governor that's our chief marketing officer, someone who will always tell you how great Illinois is and why it's the best place to live, work, and play. But also I was thinking, what a great opportunity, because you have the legislature, you have private enterprises working together to make all of this happen. We had John Atkinson, our friend from Intersect Illinois, there. We had representatives from the University of Illinois there. And this partnership that's going to include my alma mater, Northwestern University. Thank you, Mr. President Schill, for being here. And the Senate President's alma mater, the University of Chicago, is going to play a central role in this. Partnership, collaboration. It's amazing what can happen when we're all working together. You know, the $500 million that we asked the General Assembly to approve this year is already paying amazing dividends. It's truly a team effort, and I'm proud to be a part of it. This partnership is yet another example of the smart investments we're prioritizing as a state. It's an investment in this evolving and growing field. It's an investment in 21st century jobs. It's an investment in our future that will grow our economy and help Illinois emerge as the leader of quantum technologies. And so I want to thank my colleagues in the General Assembly for their hard work in getting us here today. Landing a budget plane is never easy, but it takes vision and foresight to understand what we're trying to accomplish, and we got it done. I want to thank our governor for his support and his continued advocacy, because I know tomorrow he's going to wake up and try to figure out the next project. And I want to thank our federal partners, DARPA, who also played a major role, Senator Durbin, who just is an amazing senator for the state of Illinois, Senator Duckworth, and our entire congressional delegation, but especially the doctor, Congressman Foster. Thank you for securing the new quantum proving ground. And now it is my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker. Please welcome Ms. Gretchen Campbell. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Speaker Welsh, Governor Pritzker, Senator Durbin, Representatives Foster, and everyone else who is here today. It is wonderful to join you for this exciting announcement. American leadership and a continued investment in quantum information science has never been more critical. My name is Dr. Gretchen Campbell, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Quantum Information Science at the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, as well as the Director of the National Quantum Coordination Office. President Biden has said that we'll see more technological change in the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 50 years. That's why the Biden-Harris administration is deeply committed to investing in the exploration of science and the revolutionary technologies that will shape our world, like those enabled by quantum information science. At the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, we work to harness the power of science, technology, and innovation to achieve America's greatest aspirations and bring new possibilities to its people. We believe that we need to work to ensure that all Americans have access and benefit from emerging technologies. While quantum information science is still early in its development and there are many hurdles ahead of us, quantum has a promise to offer future benefits to our society. Breakthroughs in quantum are poised to generate entirely new industries, good-paying jobs, and economic opportunities for all Americans. But like any powerful technologies, future quantum technologies may also create significant risks, which is why President Biden has taken steps to lay the groundwork for continued American leadership in quantum, while also mitigating the risks that quantum computers pose to America's national and economic security. The National Quantum Initiative is taking a science-first approach to quantum information science, while also recognizing the importance of deepening our engagements with industry, continuing to develop a skilled quantum workforce, providing critical infrastructure, while maintaining national security and economic growth, and building international partnerships with like-minded countries. And while we're very excited to work with research centers around the country, including 4 here in Illinois, to fully realize the promise of quantum computing and train the next generation to continue to contribute to the future quantum technology and innovation ecosystem. Quantum computers hold the potential to drive innovations across the American economy, and it is clear that America's continued technological and scientific leadership will depend, at least in part, on America's ability to maintain a competitive advantage in quantum computing and quantum information science, which is why I'm so glad to be here today in Illinois as part of this exciting announcement for both the DARPA Illinois Quantum Proving Ground and the Quantum Benchmarking Initiative. And with that, I'm happy to introduce Brian DeMarco.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I'm Brian DeMarco, professor of physics. I'm a quantum physicist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and director of IQUIS, the Illinois Quantum Information Science and Technology Center. I was delighted when DARPA approached me and my colleague, Harley Johnson, professor of mechanical science and engineering and associate dean for research for Granger Engineering at UIUC, with a quantum proving ground concept. And it was my and Harley's pleasure to help plan the partnership and the program that we are announcing today, which I believe is essential to securing U.S. leadership in the global race to utility-scale quantum computing. The Quantum Proving Ground is an incredible opportunity to advance next-generation computing technologies that have the potential to impact society, the economy, and national security. I look forward to working with the other members of the Chicago Quantum Exchange, the Illinois Quantum Ecosystem, and our partners to competing for Proving Ground funds and working to develop, deploy, and rigorously evaluate quantum computing prototypes at the Illinois Quantum Campus. Thank you to Governor Pritzker, the state of Illinois, and DARPA for making this amazing opportunity possible. And next I'd like to turn it over to Congressman Christian Murphy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm reminded of the old saying that you know you're dealing with the quantum physics mafia when they make you an offer you can't understand. And so when they asked me to come and speak here and they gave me the remarks, I took about 10 minutes reading the same sentences over and over again, but I think I'm starting to get it. And what I get is that this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And, Senator Durbin, my colleague Bill Foster, have been helping to lead the charge in Congress. But really, Governor Pritzker deserves tremendous credit for helping to pull various partners together at various levels of government to make today possible. And so I just want to say, as the ranking member of the Special Select Committee on the strategic competition between the U.S. and the Chinese Communist Party, a name is almost as long as mine, that this particular quantum proving ground is going to be essential for us as a country, not just the state of Illinois, not the city of Chicago, but as a country to win the strategic competition in the area of quantum computing, which is a next generation technology that the CCP, as well as other countries, are prioritizing in terms of leading the charge on. So what is happening here today is of enormous import, far beyond Illinois. So with that, I just want to say thank you to the governor, thank you to DARPA, thank you to all of our partners and leaders in the state and in the country for selecting here as the quantum proving ground. And next, I'd like to reintroduce Governor Pritzker to take some very easy questions. Thank you.
Before I take questions, I just wanted to recognize something important for all of you to know, which is it is unusual when the major universities in a state are gathered together and working together and coordinating with one another. And we have seen it over and over and over the last few years that the Chancellor of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, the President of the University of Chicago, and the President of Northwestern University are in the same room, talking about the same things, gathered around the same ideas and working together. And I do want to thank you all for the work that you do together and the collegiality that you bring to this. And it really is advancing the prospects for our economy, our technological future in the state of Illinois and nationally. So thank you. Happy to take questions from members of the media. They're very shy. Sarah. Okay.
So it's $140 million from DARPA to create this, matched by $140 from the state, right?
Yeah, it's up to, because, they're looking for the right opportunities to be able to advance a company and bring them to the campus and work with them. So, that'll happen over some period of time. And so we both committed $140 million to that effort, right? So it's not like someone's writing a check today for 140, either side. It's more that as the opportunities arise, we're sharing in that opportunity as between us, up to $140 million each. So we expect in the end it will be as much as $280 million. Yeah.
Can you sketch out just a little bit about what that money might go for? Is it the idea to help spark companies to create product, or to do something else? How exactly is that going to work?
We're a little early for product, but I'm going to hand it over to Joe to
Sure.
describe.
Thank you, Governor. Yeah, like the governor said, we're not committing any dollars today, but we know this is a huge challenge and it's going to be extremely expensive if you really want to know for sure that something's going to work. You're going to have to do things like vet the algorithms to see if they're going to work with the people whose industries we're hoping to revolutionize to make sure what we want to do is going to work. You're going to have to build some really expensive prototypes to actually kick the tires and find out if these technologies work. And you're going to have to build a lot of equipment and hire a small army of people to really vet these technologies. We're not interested in finding out if it just sounds plausible that these things might work. We really want to prove to ourselves before you build the big one that we have confidence that you could build it, it will work as designed, and when you build it, it really is going to be a critical industrial tool. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Great. Thank you.
And I'll just add one thing to what Joe said, which is, and the commercialization prospects of it are advanced significantly by having this proving ground, this endeavor with the DARPA, with the experts at DARPA, to sort of make sure that, I think he used the word vetting, I would use that word too. It's good for these companies. This is the only way for them really to advance, if you ask me, is to be vetted, and being vetted by scientists at DARPA and the experts from our great universities here is, perhaps the most important kind of vetting you could possibly have.
Do you expect this to be located on the quantum campus that you guys have talked about creating?
Yes. Yes. Olivia.
Off topic.
Mhm.
Since the shooting of former President Trump over the weekend, some Republicans have accused Democrats of name calling and personal attacks. Do you regret any of the name calling against Trump, or feel it's been unfair, and do you plan to change your rhetoric going into that rest of the
I have never and never would call for any political violence. And you can take that to the bank. That's not anything that I've ever advocated. And I think that there's always hot competition in the in the world of ideas, in the political world, and so we all advance our own ideas, and when their ideas are bad ones, we call them out. But it's still true that Donald Trump is a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, has been a congenital liar, and is unfit for the office of President of the United States. Having said that, I am very pleased that he remains relatively unharmed, that it was a relatively minor incident for him, and of course saddened and find it extremely tragic that someone with apparently an assault weapon killed people at that rally for President Trump, and of course attempted to take the life of a presidential candidate. That should never happen. And here in Illinois, as you know, we banned assault weapons. And of course, I think you've heard all of us that are here and elsewhere talk about the abhorrence that we have for political violence.
Since the shooting, I know the Democrats have kind of shifted messaging, or kind of forced to shift messaging, pull back some ads. Will that continue?
Well, I can't speak for for anybody outside of myself. I'm not deciding what ads get run. I think that we're in a political season. I think it's appropriate for us to just take a pause and recognize that this violence, needs to be called out. We need to make sure that this does not happen in American society anymore. It is extremely disappointing that people on the other side of the aisle are just in the last few days calling for counter violence, as if there was anything that was done by Democrats here. It wasn't. It turns out that the shooter, in fact, was a registered Republican. And I think none of us think that anybody, whatever their political party is, ought to be, committing this kind of violence.
Can you also comment about President Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, and also Senator Durbin, if you can also comment on that too, since that's pretty
Well, yeah, I'd be happy to stay here for about 45 minutes to tell you about the history of J.D. Vance, but the fact is that he is someone who has very extremist views. As you may know, he is not just anti-choice against reproductive rights, but he also thinks that if you've been raped or have had incest committed against you, that you should be forced to have that child. He is someone who has ridiculed women's rights. There's a pretty long list of very, very extreme views that he holds. And I think, of course, it's in keeping with the MAGA extremism of the broader Republican Party. So I'm sure he's being accepted by them. But I think there are a whole lot of independents and Republicans who abhor what he stands for and won't vote for that ticket. May not have before, but now especially will walk away because J.D. Vance is on the ticket. Senator, do you want to?
I've been chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee for 4 years. One of our responsibilities is filling the vacancies on the federal bench as well as U.S. attorney positions. Under President Trump, some 86 U.S. attorneys were all appointed through this process with voice votes, no record votes. When we tried to do the same thing under President Biden, there was resistance, particularly from Senator Vance. He objected to the appointment, filling the vacancy for U.S. Attorney here in the Northern District of Illinois, as well as in Cleveland in his own home state. 3 times or more, I went to the floor and asked him, confronted him with this decision, saying, how can you be for law and order and talk about stopping the scourge of fentanyl and other terrible things, human trafficking, and deny us to this president the leaders that they're asking for in these offices? He said, and he repeated himself over and over, his goal was to grind the Department of Justice to a halt. I had that printed on a board and put on the floor and said, did you say this? He said, I still stand by it. What was his thinking? Why would he want to stop career prosecutors from moving forward to protect us? He was very clear about it. It was retribution for the weaponization of the Department of Justice toward Donald Trump. It was strictly a political move. It had nothing to do with the merits of the nominees or the needs to fill those positions. That does not give me a lot of hope in terms of what his politics mean for a lot of people who are looking for law and order all across the United States to protect their families and neighborhoods.
We'll do one more.
Who are you,
Last night at the Republican convention,
who are you looking for?
Teamsters, both of you guys, there had some
Uh-oh, you're up, Senator.
Tried to escape.
Are you guys concerned that President Biden is losing union support given the fact that the Teamsters had spoken at RNC?
There's not been a stronger president in the history of the United States for the union movement than Joe Biden. He is outspoken on the issue. He doesn't dance around or mince around when it comes to that subject. He is very direct. He supports labor unions. I do too. When they prosper and their members prosper, the middle class prospers in America. We all grow in the right direction. Having said that, the reality is not all members of labor unions support Democratic candidates. They are individuals making their own decisions, and some unions will go one way and some the other. But I believe that Joe Biden stands by his record on unions, and I do too.
I would just add that Donald Trump and the entire Republican Party have stood against workers' rights, against raising wages for working families, against keeping our workplaces safe. Those are things that unions do, fighting for working families. And so I realize that you might find that there are some union members who will support Donald Trump, but you'll also find that the majority of unions and union members understand that it's Joe Biden that has stood up for them and is genuinely the best president that the union movement and working families have had in their lifetimes, perhaps if not ever. Thank you.